just had coffee with him, and he was like, I haven't heard from him.
No, it's
Okay.
a super important moment.
More do I hate that than that.
Can I just shoot that over to
Just a
you real quick?
situation. Anything.
Excuse me. I believe we're all here. We're maybe a minute early, but since everybody's here, shall we go ahead and get started with our meeting? And I think turn it over to you, Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that. Good evening, everybody. It's good to be with you tonight. The only item that we have outside of our agenda review is the discussion as it relates to a couple grant applications that we are trying to pursue through the outdoor recreation program, which is a feature of some ARPA dollars that are left over for the term escapes me, income, low income, country qualified census tracts. Thank you. That Casper has that makes it an eligible community to pursue these dollars. I would tell you that the dollars we're pursuing are rather sizable, and ordinarily we'd be very concerned about matching, particularly for these larger grants. In this circumstance, however, these are 100% funded grants if indeed we are successful in receiving these. The other thing I would say before I turn the time over to Tom and Zelima is that a lot of the projects that we're trying to put in for with this program are projects that we have on our 5-year plan, but we just don't have funding for to make happen throughout that period of time without sacrificing other projects and so forth that are committed through the One Cent program and so on. There are a couple of other things, however, that we are hoping to pursue as well that would be a new idea, if you will, or one that we haven't gone into a lot of depth with in the past. And so with that, Mr. Mayor, as sort of setting the table for this, if you don't mind my turning time over to Tom and Zelima to walk us through some of the other details. We really just need you to be aware of these things and give us the green light, if you will, to go after these dollars. We are hoping to get $8 million with this effort. Again, all of which would be 100% funded through ARPA. So we're very enthusiastic about this possibility.
You're up.
Counselors, good evening. As the city manager indicated, we recently learned that they are doing a second round of Wyoming Outdoor Recreation Grant Program applications for us to pursue. And last year we did apply for a number of grants in partnership with the Platte River Trails Trust, as well as the Hogan Night Skiing Project, and the city submitted in partnership with Stuckenhoff or the Casper Shooters Club. And so unfortunately we were not successful with any of those grants last year. However, they have restructured, they've changed some of the criteria, and we think that makes Casper pretty competitive because we do have an area of our community that's considered a qualified census tract. And also when they adjusted their criteria, they expanded the kinds of projects that could be funded with this money. To include park infrastructure, including athletic fields, playgrounds, and things of those nature that were not eligible prior to now. And so we learned of the criteria changes in mid-December, and so we've been actively working since then to submit applications that are due January 26th. We do hope to submit 3 grants in total, as the city manager indicated. Those grants total somewhere between $7 and $9 million in its entirety. The grant does not require a match, as Carter indicated. However, applications that show a match are scored higher. And so in order to gain those extra points, we do intend to show a match through in-kind donations, 1 cent funds that are already committed to Parks and Recreation, as well as some non-federal grants that could be used as match. And so we certainly won't be coming to you asking for match that is not available through a known source already. But we will try to provide some match applications to strengthen those. Right now, the 2 grants that I'm applying for, will support the North Casper recreation assets that we currently have, as well as expand those assets slightly. So, you've heard about the condition of our existing skate park, so we hope to address that in these applications. We also hope to address some infrastructure needs with our athletic fields, everything from dugouts to lighting to fencing, backstops, those kinds of things, infill material, and all of those areas are things that are desperately needed, but we have not identified funding for. So this creates a unique and exciting opportunity for us there, as well as some improvements at Mary Carter Pool, which we need to update that filtration system and do some improvements there. So an exciting opportunity, and with your blessing, we'll gladly move that forward and hope for the best.
Thanks, Alima. Mayor, councilors, the project that we just recently added as our 3rd grant was brought about from a meeting with YDOT. And we were meeting with YDOT on the Poplar Street Bridge. Just to remind you, that's been bid out a couple times and has come in grossly over budget on both occasions. And with that budget included in that project, we were hanging water and sewer lines off the sides of that bridge. And those costs for those came in again grossly over budget, like $4 million. And so we met with YDOT and shared with them, what was planned for that bridge. And they said, we don't know when it's budgeted. And so we had an idea that had been floated around for over a year, and that is building a parallel pedestrian bridge that would be kind of like the Joan Bank and would cross there. And it's part of the Trails Master Plan. It's been conceptualized for some time now. The benefit of this bridge is we can hang the water and sewer lines off of it as well. And the really nice part is it's very challenging to maintain water and sewer lines off the Poplar Street Bridge. You can imagine if we had any problems and you're trying to hang people over the side of the bridge, a very busy pedestrian or very busy vehicle traffic bridge. The other problem is even when you put a 10-foot wide sidewalk on a bridge that's that busy, it doesn't entice people to walk very often. It's not going to be a destination. It's more of, well, I've got to get across the Platte River, and so I will walk this section. So when we put in a parallel pedestrian bridge, it makes it a lot more attractive, provides some huge connectivity between downtown and the OID, and just it fits well again in the Trails Master Plan. So again, the benefit of this grant is it's 100% grant funded. We have some matching money coming from the Platte River Parkway Trails Trust, and we also have money that was budgeted for water and sewer. And again, on the water and sewer side, we'll be saving a lot of money putting these utilities on a pedestrian bridge versus putting them on the side of the big whiteout bridge.
Questions from anybody? I'm assuming you're looking for a thumbs up on the grant proposals?
Mayor,
Oh,
just, I think I know the answer to this, but Zalima, is there a match requirement? If we did do a match, is it dollar for dollar match requirement?
Mayor, Counselor, no, because there is no grant requirement, there's not a stipulation. So we are shooting, at least for the grants that I'm submitting, I'm shooting for 10% or more.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty small.
Okay, that makes a big difference in the match. Yeah. Thank you.
any other questions? Everybody in favor of it? Looks like you got your approval.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I guess next is agenda review.
Yes, and Mr. Mayor, I really don't have anything to add. We did prepare the script in such a way that if you wanted to table the utility building ordinance, that would absolutely be at your discretion to do so.
Anything else about the agenda anybody would like to bring up? Because we've got a break until 6 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Salim and Tom. Appreciate it. to remind everyone to silence their cell phones. Council meetings are live streamed on the city's YouTube channel. I now call the January 16th, 2024 regular council meeting to order. All councilors are present. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There's no Commonwealth all together. One nation under God.
Please read the consent minute approval tiles.
Reading the minutes of the December 19th, 2023 regular council meeting as published in the Casper Tribune on January 13th, 2024, the December 19th, 2023 executive session minutes, and the January 2nd, 2024 regular council meeting minutes as published in the Casper Tribune on January 13th, 2024.
The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent minute action agenda items as read.
Second.
Any abstentions or nay votes? All voting aye.
Aye.
Please report the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
The chair would entertain a motion to approve by minute action the January 16, 2024 bills and claims as audited by City Manager Napier.
So moved.
Any abstentions or nay votes? All voting aye.
Aye.
Now is the time we invite anyone in the audience who wishes to speak with the council to come forward. This portion of the meeting is dedicated to the public to allow them time to voice their concerns. Therefore, council will take communications under advisement, but if they choose to respond, they will do so at a later time. Please state your name, direct all questions and comments to the mayor and only the mayor. No personal obscenities or threats will be tolerated. Council will not respond to personnel matters. These will be referred to the city manager. If council chooses to address these matters, it will be done during the introduction of measures and proposals by council at the end of the meeting. Presentations will be limited to 5 minutes and no time extensions will be permitted. Please note that public hearings and ordinances each have their own comment. Mr. Schiffman.
Good evening. Congratulations on becoming our mayor. I wish you much success this year.
Thank you.
I'm here with some residents of Kaufman Avenue in the southwest part of the city. Kaufman Avenue runs from Wyoming Boulevard behind Sunrise down the hill to 25th. Then it winds over to CY at Smith's. I've been out with residents on another matter, and people were talking about the speed that some drivers are doing on that street. It's a big downhill at the beginning towards the top, and then it gets really windy. Residents have told me that their fence has been crashed into. One resident told me a neighbor has been hit twice just backing out of the driveway because when she backed out, there was nobody coming. There's a lot of children in that area. There's 2 schools, there's 3 parks. And there's elderly people, there's runners, because I'm one of them and I know it gets a little hairy sometimes. And there's bicycles. So we're concerned about preventing a tragedy that might happen. So what I did is I put a flyer out to the residents and I asked them to make some suggestions. So what I have here is some suggestions that the council may decide or think about as far as what could be done. I also checked with the Wyoming Department of Transportation. Roads are supposed to be posted at 30 miles an hour unless it's a school zone or another situation. I only observed two speed signs on the road. One was at 20 miles, and that's behind or near the Journey School, which is behind Smith's Groceries. The other one is at 39 and Kaufman, and that's 30 miles an hour. So a couple of things is possibly maybe posting a few more speed signs. Another thing, I looked on the internet, there's a lighter touch, a little humor. There's signs that can be posted that say, slow down, only you can prevent speed bumps. Okay, so it kind of gets people to think about it. Another thing, back in Pennsylvania, they had these digital radar signs, so drivers could check their own speed and go, you know, I'm supposed to be going 35, and I look and it says 50, and it gets you to pay attention. Police presence could be another situation. People start seeing police officers stopping somebody or ticketing them. They're more aware of what's going on. And then speed bumps, but speed bumps would be a problem because, first of all, the road was just resurfaced. Okay, so I want to start over. The other problem is snow plows. So you have new construction and the cost there. I also have a letter from a resident who could not make it tonight. Barbara Patterson. She lives on the 2500 block, and she's lived there for a long time. She's actually said that she and her husband, when he was alive, had offered that the police department could park in their driveway. They have not a large enough driveway to get off the street. A lot of people in our neighborhood they park on the street. So on both sides, it gets even narrower. So those are some of the suggestions that have been made. And we're just trying to prevent a tragedy and just get people to slow down a little bit.
Do you have a copy of that letter?
Yes, we did. Oh, yes, we did.
Could you give that to our city manager,
Yes,
please?
I can.
And then, is that an extra copy there?
Yes.
We'll pass that on to Mr. Napier and
Okay,
check into it.
okay. Thank you very much.
You bet. Is that okay with you, Mr. City Manager?
Absolutely.
I'd be glad to meet with the manager. And
Sounds great.
so will some of the residents.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Thank you. Anybody else like to speak to council? No others to speak. We will establish public hearing dates. Would you please read the consent agenda titles?
Establishing February 6th, 2024 as the public hearing date for consideration of 1A, adoption of fiscal year 2024 budget amendment number 2. 1B, consideration of an ordinance approving a zone change of multiple properties located north of East 12th Street between South Conwell and South Lowell Streets. And 1C, consideration of an annexation and zoning request for 0.51 acres, more or less, described as Lot 5, Bryan subdivision. And establishing March 5th, 2024 as a public hearing date for consideration of a resolution certifying the annexation of 0.51 acres, more or less, described as Lot 5, Bryan subdivision, complying with Wyoming statute 15-1-402.
The chair will entertain a motion to, by minute action, establish the public hearing dates just read. Any abstentions or nay votes? All voting aye?
Aye.
Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Thank you. I'll get this here in another 10 to 15 meetings. You're doing great. Cancel and reestablish dates of public hearings. Please read the consent agenda titles.
Canceling the January 16th, 2024 public hearings and reestablishing February 6, 2024 as a public hearing date for 1A, consideration of an assessment roll for local assessment district number 160, Chinook Trail improvements. 1B, transfer of ownership interest for retail liquor license number 15, Wyoming Liquor LLC, doing business as Wyoming Discount Liquor located at 4330 East Second Street. And 1C, approving the transfer of ownership interest for retail liquor license number 22, Wyoming Spirits Incorporated, doing business as Second Street Liquor and Wine, located at 939 East Second Street, Suites 300, 400, and 500.
The chair would entertain a motion to by amended action, cancel and reestablish public hearing dates just read. Any abstentions or nay votes?
I'd like to abstain from item 7A, 1, B, and C.
All voting aye?
Aye.
Please record the vote.
With Councilor Pollock's abstentions noted and all others voting aye, the motion passes.
I now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of the transfer of ownership interest and name change for retail liquor license number 10 for Silver Fox Restaurant. City Attorney, do you have any exhibits?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do. Exhibit number 1, correspondence from Fleur Treble to J. Carter Napier dated January 4th, 2024. Exhibit number 2, affidavit of website publication as published on the City of Casper website dated January 4th, 2024. Exhibit number 3, Casper Star Tribune proof of publication published on January 4th and 9th, 2024. Exhibit number 4, liquor license application filed December 20th, 2023.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager, do you have a report?
I do, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. And as a matter of fact, we are considering almost the exact same thing with all 3 of these public hearings that you have in front of you tonight. In all 3 of these circumstances, the team of owners that each of these actions represent have lost a principal owner or a fellow owner as it relates to the liquor licenses being discussed. Pursuant to the circumstance where those things happen, it is necessary that a transfer take place, recognizing that, reallocation of ownership or reconfiguration of ownership as possible as well. In each of these circumstances, with respect to the businesses that are being represented, the ownership is being transferred to an individual trust. And that is consistent with state law and is the reason that you are being brought into this discussion this evening.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Council will now listen to public comment. Public hearing comments are limited to 5 minutes and no duplication of speakers will be allowed. At this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of the transfer of ownership interest and name change for retail liquor license number 10 to please approach the lectern. Anybody to speak in favor? At this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to the transfer of ownership interest and name change for retail liquor license number 10 to please approach the lectern. Anybody in opposition? There being no others to speak for or against the transfer of ownership interest and name change for retail liquor license number 10, I now declare the public hearing closed. The chair would entertain a motion to, by minute action, approve the application for transfer of ownership interest and name change for retail liquor license number 10 from Armour's Restaurant, Inc., DBA Silver Fox Steakhouse located at 3422 Energy Lane to Silver Fox Restaurant and Lounge, DBA Silver Fox Restaurant and Lounge located at 3422 South Energy Lane. Discussion.
I have a question. Condolences to all the families. Crazy that we have to consider like 3 separate, multiple owners in a very short time span. So condolences to all the families. My question, Carter, is more broadly to all of these 3. Ownership stake in a trust, is that something that is just an interim solution as other things get worked out? That like are those circumstances, can that go into perpetuity, or does it need to be eventually assigned to like an individual of some sort? Or can it just fly with the trust for the duration of the license? I guess is my question.
Mr. Mayor, Counselor, thank you for that question. My understanding is that the trust is a legitimate holder of a license of this nature. We have not been told with any of these whether or not that will be a permanent ownership structure or not. And so at this point, we don't really have much more information to provide in that regard.
I just was curious, is there a timeline that the license should be transferred once a member passes away? Is there something written into the bylaws or whatever to where they have to do the paper?
Counselor, Madam Vice Mayor, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, I am not aware of those requirements of the law. If you don't mind, I'd like to defer to either Eric or.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, I don't believe there is a specific time frame that's contained within statute. And of course, that time frame is going to differ based on the circumstances of the particular estate and what's happening. I mean, there can be a situation where it's contested. Certainly, I don't think that any of these wait any kind of an inordinate amount of time. Myself and staff work with all of the license holders to kind of plot the course forward. So, but there is not a hard and fast time frame that I'm aware of.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Vice.
Thank you for the promotion.
I don't know.
You want to switch jobs? I don't want your job.
Sometimes I do, yeah.
The way I'm going.
Mr. Mayor, after conferring with the clerk's office, the urgency that we were feeling to get these in front of you was with respect to having all of this straightened out before renewals occur, which, as you all know, is very imminent for this time of year. So that certainly was prominent in our minds, at least.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Any abstentions or nay votes? Very good. All voting aye. Aye. Please record the vote.
With Counselor Pollock abstaining and all others voting on the motion passed.
I now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of the transfer of ownership interest for retail license number 7 for C85, the branding iron. City Attorney, do you have any exhibits?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do. Exhibit number 1, correspondence from Fleur Tremble to J. Carter Napier dated January 4th, 2024. Exhibit number 2, affidavit of website publication as published on the City of Casper website dated January 4th, 2024. Exhibit number 3, Casper Star Tribune proof of publication published on January 4th and 9th, 2024. Exhibit number 4, liquor license application filed December 10th, 2023.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Mr. City Manager, do you have a report?
Your Honor, I actually do not have anything further to add to this item or item number 3 that's next.
Very good. Council will now listen to public comment. Please, public hearing comments are limited to 5 minutes and no duplication of speakers will be allowed. At this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of the transfer of ownership interest for liquor license number 7 to please approach the lectern. None appearing. At this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to the transfer of ownership interest for retail liquor license number 7 to approach the lectern. There being no others to speak for or against the transfer of ownership of interest for retail liquor license number 7, I now declare the public hearing closed. The chair would entertain a motion to by minute action approve the application for the transfer of ownership interest for retail liquor license number 7. 129 Hospitality LLC DBA C85, the branding iron located at 129 West 2nd Street.
So moved.
Discussion. Any abstentions or nay votes? We have Councilor Pollock. All voting aye.
Aye.
Aye. Please record the vote.
Counselor Pollock abstaining and all other voting aye, the motion passes.
Do I have to keep reading all of this stuff? Now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of transfer of ownership interest for retail liquor license number 29 for C85 Gallus Liquor Mart. City Attorney, do you have any exhibits?
Thank you, Mayor. I do. Exhibit number 1, correspondence from Fleur Treble to J. Carter Napier dated January 4th, 2024. Exhibit number 2, affidavit of website publication as published on the City of Casper website dated January 4th, 2024. Exhibit number 3, Casper Star Tribune proof of publication published on January 4th and 9th, 2024. Exhibit number 4, liquor license application filed December 10th, 2023.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. And you have nothing further to add?
Correct.
Very good.
Thank you.
Council will now listen to public comment. Public hearing comments are limited to 5 minutes and no duplication of speakers will be allowed. At this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of the transfer of ownership interest in retail liquor license 29 to please approach the lectern. Since no one's here, at this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to the transfer of ownership interest for retail liquor license number 29, please approach the lectern. There being no one to speak for or against the transfer of ownership of liquor license number 29, I now declare the public hearing closed. The chair will entertain a motion to by minute action approve the application for the transfer of ownership interest for retail liquor license 29, Double C Hospitalities LLC, doing business at C85 Gallus Liquor Mart located at 748 East Yellowstone Highway. Discussion. Abstentions or nay votes? We have the one, all voting aye.
Aye.
Aye. Please record the vote.
With Counselor Pollock abstaining and all others voting aye, the motion.
The chair would entertain a motion to, by consent minute action, postpone the second reading of the utility billing ordinance. I'm sorry. We will wait for Councilor Pollock to return. Now we will start it. The chair would entertain a motion to, by consent minute action, postpone the second reading of the utility billing ordinance to February 6, 2024, in order to allow city council to discuss the ordinance further at next week's work session.
So moved.
Second.
Any abstentions or nay votes? All voting aye.
Aye.
Please record the vote.
With all counselors voting aye, the motion passes.
Please read the consent resolutions.
10A1, authorizing a memorandum of understanding between the Natrona County Weed and Pest Control District and the City of Casper for the completion of state designated and county declared noxious weeds and pests and City of Casper mosquito abatement program. 10A2, authorizing a contract for professional services with R&R Environmental Incorporated for the design and construction services for the Casper Business Center asbestos abatement project. 10A3, authorizing change order number 1 with Crown Construction LLC for the Paradise Valley Pool Gutter Replacement Project. 10A4, authorizing amendment number 3 to the contract for professional services with HDR Engineering Incorporated for the Paradise Valley to Robertson Road Trail Project. 10A5, authorizing the release of local assessment district lien regarding 2955 Coulter Drive, Casper, Wyoming. 10A6, rescinding and replacing resolution number 23-212 and authorizing a contract with Central Wyoming Senior Services Incorporated for use of 1% number 17 sales tax special projects funds. 10A7, authorizing a revocable license agreement for snow removal services with Rustic Pines Owners Association Incorporated.
The chair would entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda items just read.
So moved.
City manager, would you like to comment on any of the items?
Just thank you, Your Honor.
Any abstentions or nay votes? All voting aye.
Aye.
Please record the vote.
All counselors voting aye. The motion passes.
Please read the consent minute action titles.
11A1, authorizing the reappointment of board member James DeGolio to the Amicable Reuse Agreement Joint Powers Board. 11A2, authorizing the appointment of board member William Nunn to the Amicable Reuse Agreement Joint Powers Board. 11A3, authorizing the appointment of board member Thomas Small to the Amicable Reuse Agreement Joint Powers Board. And 11A4, authorizing the appointment of board member Robert Hopkins to the Amicable Reuse Agreement Joint Powers Board.
The chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent minute action items just read.
So moved.
Oh. Any abstentions or nay votes? All voting an aye.
Aye.
Please record the vote.
With all counselors voting aye, the motion passes.
At this time, we ask councilors to bring forward relevant concerns or items of interest. We'll start with you, Jai, and go that direction.
Switching it up.
Yes.
Okay, just two things. We got an email about the Casper College strategic plan. It's open for public input, and that is until February 2nd. So if you're interested in checking that out, please do. I have an LGBTQ advisory board meeting on Friday. That is all for me today.
Wow. Councilor. Yeah.
Wanted to give congratulations to Amanda Munoz on her promotion to police telecommunications supervisor. It sounds like that took effect yesterday, and she's been with the Public Safety Communication Center for a decade. Had the opportunity to tour that facility, and I'm guessing most of everyone else up here did as well. And those guys do some incredible work. Very taxing job. Someone's got to do it. Just wanted to let her and everyone else up there know that we appreciate your service. Wanted to thank the Chamber of Commerce for holding their annual pre-legislative luncheon. I know several of us were there last week. Got to hear from our local legislators on their priorities during the upcoming budget session, as well as get an idea of some bills that we're likely to hear about. We obviously have a slate of things that we'd like to see out of the sessions, and we'll talk about that more as we get closer. There was a recent Cowboy State Daily article about All Aboard Northwest. It's a rail line advocacy group pushing for the upgrade of existing rail infrastructure in the Midwest using Federal Investment Act funding to enable more passenger travel. I believe we got at least one email on this. I love this idea and think it'd be great if we have viable passenger rail service in our area. So I don't know if there's anything we can do, letters we can write, or any other support we can offer for that concept, but I'd be interested in us exploring it. And then lastly, there were some comment threads over the weekend critical of the fact that this was the last weekend for ice skating at David Street Station. It was a weekend that had to be cut short because insanely low temperatures Friday and Saturday. And as a liaison, I just wanted to take a very brief moment to give some further context. A lot of other people found it helpful, so just some context in regards to the ice skating at David Street Station. After school break-ins and schools back in session, the skating attendance dropped significantly. They have kept it open until Valentine's Day before, and attendance just drops week after week. So from just the cost of running the icing far exceeds the revenue that they would make during that time. So that's why they don't stay open much later past when school gets back in session. Also, the chiller to rent it on a monthly basis is $24,000, and then the utilities needed to keep that chiller going are $6,000. So about $30,000 a month required to sustain the ice over there. Contrary to popular belief, just because it's really cold outside does not mean that ice just builds itself and sustains itself. It does require a chiller. It does require energy to keep the ice there, even when it's cold outside. And so the contract that we had for the chiller ended yesterday, and so it came and got picked up. That's why the ice skating rink got cut short. I gave thanks to Visit Casper a couple weeks ago because without their assistance, they covered the last 2 weeks of ice skate rentals. So again, thank you to Visit Casper. Without those sorts of sponsorships, again, those are big costs, and because the DDA only generates revenue from the mill levy on downtown property owners, they can't cover that themselves, so they have to get corporate sponsorships and private donations. And so without that, assistance, we would not have an ice skating rink. So the plan is to install a permanent chiller this year, and that would obviously help reduce those costs and make it easier to keep the ice rink open. So I guess I would just encourage folks, if the ice rink is really important to you, just a reminder, the ice skate rentals do not cover the cost of, they do not get $30,000 in ice skate rentals every month. And so if you want to see that season extended, or if you like all the other activities over there, I just encourage you to donate privately or recommend that your business come on as a corporate sponsor, because that's the only way that they can bring those free events to our community. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Haskins.
Me?
Councilor Pollock.
All right. Had the regional water meeting today. If anybody's been following the Wardwell district dissolution, that's predominantly what we talked about. That is moving through the process. It's slow, painful at times, but we are making our way through all of the different various steps that that board needs to contend with in order to facilitate the change that happens now that they've voted to dissolve. So there'll be more details in the minutes, or I'm happy to fill in with added details. But that was the bulk of the meeting today. Additionally, we did hear Steve may have to help me with some of the details, but we heard an update from state engineers. No, who's the guy? George.
Oh,
George. We heard from George, and he.
Yes. Well put.
Yeah. There's a study. An ongoing study that started in about 2020. That was actually really fascinating. I'm looking forward to hearing some of the results of this, but basically looking at some different ways to rehab wells that have started to decline in their production. And so kind of doing some A/B testing on different rehab techniques to see what techniques work best for what types of wells and what sort of eras of some of these wells that we've put in, which rehab techniques work the best. And all of this is funded through the state. So the regional water board did not have to put any money in towards it, but we'll get a lot of really good data, I think, that will help us manage our wells well into the future. So it sounds like that results of that may be a year or a little more off, but we got an update from the entity that's managing that study. I'm pretty excited to see that continue moving ahead. I'm looking forward to the results of it. Tomorrow I've got Metro Animal group meeting and LGBTQ on Friday. So I will be able to update you on those groups future meeting. That's all.
Councilor Bond.
Thank you, Mayor. I have the Senior Services Board meeting on Monday, and I think that's about all. I think we talked about it briefly, but if we got to the work session agenda to decide about the whether we're going to continue the municipal court liaison functions. I'm in no hurry, but I didn't know if that's something council was interested in.
After our, we'll consider that.
Okay. That's all I have.
Councilor Jensen.
I have one thing, and it's OYD next week. So that's about it.
Councilor Pacheco.
I don't have anything. If we had any landlords that are here or property managers, we tabled the utility discussion in order for the council to have more discussion next week. So if you're here for that, just want to make sure that you know that we are talking about it. We're moving forward with that to what we tabled it on our second reading. In case you came here and you're a bit confused why. Yeah. So you walk in, I was thinking too, well, I thought Josh come in, so. But I want to make sure that if you did come in here for that specific reason, we tabled it on purpose because we want to spend a little bit more time talking about the process and what we're trying to accomplish with that, since we've got a lot of feedback, but we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. So just making sure. Yep, that's all I got.
Vice Mayor.
So I was just going to confirm, I didn't see if we had a date confirmed for the legislative meeting that we've got coming up. It's
Mr. Mayor,
February 8th. And then I've got, unfortunately, I was not able to attend last Thursday's Parks and Rec Board meeting. And then today we had the meeting with the county commissioners. Tomorrow's so we're going to talk about the HOJ meeting. Then we've got Thursday morning, the breakfast.
Absolutely.
You're gonna miss the breakfast. You miss going.
3 years I had to go to that thing.
And then I have a conference board meeting. Steve and I will eat for you.
Yes, please enjoy.
What are their big cinnamon rolls?
Yeah, please.
You're done. Okay, thank you. Basically, I attended the Joint Powers Water Board meeting as well, and I looked up and they did not list the organization that is doing the
Tried to do a quick,
reservoir
Yeah.
study, I would call it.
Yeah.
Or did you find the name?
no, I tried to
Okay.
look, that's why I was
didn't
like.
find it, but basically it's one of the state organizations that's dealing with the reservoir study, and it is at no charge to the water board or the city. So we are using all of we can to make sure that we wind up with the water we need. We have noticed the water levels dropping in some of our wells, which we're thinking that may be due to some of the drop in the river, but trying to figure that out as well, along with the dry fall that we've had. But we still have good water rights. We're not running out of water, so don't anybody panic over that if they read some of the minutes or anything. Had another meeting earlier today. With the county commissioners. Have a Hall of Justice meeting in the morning. Have EPA grant meeting dealing with last Friday's meeting with the mayor of Cheyenne and their grant writer. We will probably be getting with those. Do it.
6 cities.
Oh, that meeting too. Anyhow, bunches of meetings. We'll just let it go at that. But this was a special meeting between the mayor and our city manager and their grant writer to go over how to apply for some of the state funds that are available for certain infrastructure projects. So that will be coming up. We'll probably be meeting with them when we go down for WHAM the week of, WHAM is the 21st to the 23rd of February. Beyond that, I'm not sure I've got anything else. We do have a finance committee meeting next Tuesday at 10:30. So those on the finance committee, we will be having that meeting. Beyond that, at this time, the next meeting of the city council will be a work session to be held at 4:30 Tuesday, January 23rd, and a regular council meeting to be held at 6 on Tuesday, February 6th. A notice of an executive session to take place at this date and during this meeting was given. We have matters to discuss related to personnel and litigation. The chair would entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session, and at the conclusion of that executive session to reconvene this regular meeting solely for the purposes of adjourning this regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
There are a majority of councilors present, and a motion to adjourn into an executive session has been moved and seconded. This motion requires a 2/3 majority of the council present. Any abstentions or nay votes? All voting aye.
Aye.
Please record the vote.
Voting aye, motion passes.
A greater than 2/3 majority of the council present voted in favor of the motion. We are hereby adjourned into an executive session.